Because it puts us out there. We haven't been out there. We've just been, but
So I don't know.
I don't know what to do. I don't know that. I don't want to cause
Right. If somebody got hurt, and then they start looking at everything, and then it's like, well, what are y'all doing? Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen. I know that might.
Miss Secretary, would you like to please start us off with last year's minutes?
All right, I put copies of the minutes from last year in case anybody wants to like follow along and see what we talked about. But last year was June 9th, 2024. There was a welcome minutes and treasurer report for approved. Old business, the 501c3 was discussed. New business, Albert Matthews announced his retirement from secretary position after 50 years. Angel Bachman named new secretary. Motion was made and seconded to build the new floor in the small building in the cemetery. Albert Matthews and grandchildren to remove fallen limbs and concrete as well as move the gravel to outside the cemetery. And no other business. Doug Tibbs conducted the memorial service and Soul Cafe praised and edified the service with hymns. Brady Simmons sang All My Hope, and the meeting was adjourned.
Is any additions or corrections to any of that? Cindy?
officer fee is $74, $20 to rent the Flirting safe deposit box. Our insurance is $839.12. Okay, so we had to pay taxes, like Fayette County property taxes and Lee County property taxes on a little bit of royalties we got. It was $13.05 to Fayette County, $35.56 to Lee County. Okay, so the building we talked about back here, to goods and lumber, we paid $832.28, and the labor for that was $3,000. Then we also had some trees removed for $1,200, sorry. Total expenses $16,250.30. So that leaves us with an ending balance of $9,123.15. Now we do have a CD balance of $103,233.91.
Okay, any more old business?
No?
Money well spent.
I'm not a
Money
simple
well
question.
spent.
Yes, sir.
How do you get a refund back on insurance? I want to try that.
Well, okay, so maybe that needs to be up for discussion as well. But the problem is our insurance in this building and stuff went sky high, okay? $839 was just a very small portion of it. So we, as the leaders of this group, got together and decided that insurance may not be the thing that we want to be doing, because we were looking at over $3,000 a year for insurance. So that may need to be up for discussion. That was just something that we decided as a group. So what we're saying,
currently we don't have insurance on the building.
so, okay, so can we, with that saying, go to new business?
Yes.
Okay,
All right, we're gonna move on to new
so
business.
here I am with new business. Okay, so just as I said, it takes a lot to run the cemetery, guys. Okay, in my opinion, the cemetery has looked the best it's ever looked in years. I haven't been here for many, many years, but I've been here for a bunch of years. So the first thing that I would like to propose is that we give a raise to the people who are doing the yard, okay? They're not making $500 a month. I wouldn't do it for $500 a month, okay? I vote we give them $600 a month, okay?
I said,
All in favor?
Okay,
All right.
okay. So with that also being said, let's go back to the insurance stuff. It takes money to run this, okay? If I was to have paid $3,000 insurance, we have $6,000 left. So, you know, there's $100,000 here in the CD, which is for perpetual care, which perpetual care is taking care of it. Now, that's not going to be for insurance. So my thing is, we either as a whole, knowing that our families are buried back there, step our donations up a little bit. You know, I'm not here to ask for money, but I'm the one seeing what's going in and out of this. And ends are not meeting. So we talked about as a group coming up maybe with like a Venmo account to where if you guys monthly were going to shoot some money into it, we would do that as well. And I'm not talking about a whole bunch, but just enough to help us go.
On the insurance, Cindy, what's the coverage for the building? What does that entail? I know about what we had. What did it?
You know what, I guess I really can't answer that.
They were having issues with, part of the deal was they wouldn't cover the roof.
Yeah, we needed to go back and figure out when the roof was put on, then they wanted to know when the whole organization started. And I think it was things like that that we didn't have the answers for in a timely manner. I think
And
is what it
there
is.
wouldn't have been any amount of
And
insurance that would
I'm
rebuild this.
not throwing the insurance company under the bus, because insurance has gone up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, we need to decide where we want to go, what we want to do. What about liability?
No.
We don't have.
We don't have
anything
anything right now.
So I guess we need to find out if we go.
ask the insurance girls here. Amber, Nina.
I don't know the answer to that, but to my knowledge,
There's got to be.
Well, it's Kat who I was dealing with it.
And I think liability
And
is
her and I went
what,
through everything. with it.
okay, so I think that $834 was the liability.
Yes.
But then it was something else that they needed for us to go in with it. And since we didn't have the answers they needed, is why we got dropped.
Yeah, because the new insurance company that came through, I walked with the lady, and
Yes.
She wanted exit signs, you know, emergency lighting,
Right.
and all kinds of other stuff that, we're here, you know, porch railing, a fence out here. She wanted so much stuff, there's no way. I mean, we couldn't afford it to put all that stuff in for, what the church uses it
Yeah.
twice a week. You know, we're here Wednesday night for a couple hours, and we're here Sunday for a couple hours. It doesn't benefit anyone.
So does Soul Cafe have insurance that covers liability?
We've got liability, yes.
Oh, yeah, they have liability.
Part of what we pay monthly is for insurance and
Well, I mean, does the church
I
itself
can
have?
understand
I mean,
it.
sure.
Because as a tenant, you know, I do not.
Yeah, we could get our own insurance. Church could get their own
They cover
insurance.
the church area, even with us in here now.
Right.
It's still the church area.
Right.
Well, can we get just liability without all these other?
That's what we'll look into, because they wanted all this other stuff.
Yeah,
regardless.
What do other cemeteries do?
I don't know yet.
I mean,
I'll have to look
that's,
into that.
yeah.
Well, a lot of them are covered under their gate, like gates is the city.
Yeah,
Right.
Under the
Yeah.
city.
Well, and a lot of them, a lot of the smaller cemeteries come with like a church, a full-time church, and that's probably covered under that first
Mhm.
full-time church in the world too. You know, I don't refer it, so.
but then it's all owned by that entity. It would be the church or whatever.
Because if you can get that, if you can get liability for what you have documented there, I'd say run with it, do it.
Well, and I will try, but there's a reason we got dropped, because we had it, and it didn't work. But we can try, we can go out there and ask again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I understand, because we need some kind of liability.
On that, like, y'all were asking, like, how would it go, like, before that and stuff? Do y'all do grants and stuff? Because I know, like, sometimes the state will give you a grant.
Not yet. We're discussing looking into grants.
So in order to be able to get grants, we have to do a 501c3.
Okay.
And there's a whole lot
I just know that's how some of them
Just
get it
kind of
covered, so.
slow.
We're still working on the 501. Robin's been working on it. She's actually on
Yeah.
the.
And it can be a C3 or a C13, and then we have to figure
That's
out
a lot to it.
what,
Robin online,
there's
could
rabbit
be a
holes
C3,
online.
could be a C4. You know, they got all them tax codes that have all these
Yes,
different.
well, that's because I was looking at the C3, and then a thing for cemeteries specifically popped up, C13. And so then I was reading that, and then it was talking about like a cemetery mutual organization, and so it's like, well, okay, so what's a mutual?
But when we need to do that, but my question is, like what you were saying, Sydney, you gotta know when the organization started.
Right, and
you
that's
gotta
where
know
we
all
are,
this
is
other
that
stuff.
we have, and we can't find it anywhere. So if there's anybody that has any information, we were hopeful that maybe in the lockbox there would be some formation information. But it's
It's
not.
almost like there was never an official formation paper, because what I found was, you know, it dates back to the 1800s, when this property spawned, and that's where and then all of a sudden it turns into, it goes from Ledbetter School to Ledbetter Cemetery Association, but I never see where.
That's in between.
So we're looking at, we've talked about it, we don't know what it'll take, but if they, if we have to make a new organization to be able to have it established where we can, you know, get the 501, we won't, the only name would change at the very end. Instead of Ledbetter Cemetery Association, we just change it to organization.
Yeah.
Because that's what, they'll make you change something. So if it comes down to that, that's all we would change, would be the end. When everybody's calling it an organization already anyway. So,
But I think the least to have all of that is the liability.
Oh, I agree.
yes.
Least.
And
And maybe a different insurance company can provide.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we also, she offered a copy of minutes, can we get a copy of like the balance sheet as well?
You bet. I have one back there, so I can make, y'all be able to.
yeah, we have a couple
I mean, I'm just
next
thinking
door.
maybe it would be helpful even for everybody if you actually saw where our expenses go and rather than, you read it out and you tell us, but it's
I
kind
know,
of.
it goes, and
Yeah.
well, I guess what I basically want you guys to keep in mind is the reason we're here is for the cemetery. And to And that's kind of why we're throwing this out there. If anybody has any ideas of where to start or where to even, how to go with this, you know? So, okay.
Yes, sir.
So I move that we charge 500 for the locals and 1,300, 1,500 for the out of town.
Okay.
Second.
Second? All right. Change it again, Angel. 5:15. Troy, now Troy's being a local, he just asked me, can he predate a check? I take that as a no.
Okay.
All in favor?
Now, I have some other, you have some,
The spraying of the fence line. That's you.
okay.
Everybody made it out for you.
I think I understand that.
We're gonna bring Albert up for a second.
Well, I don't like to talk to people behind my back, so. So last year, I told y'all that my grandkids and I will do the fence, right? So I go to see the grandkids, and they're at sports camps all summer. So I said, okay, this is not working the way I intended it to. So I have a young man that works for me, and said something to me about it. I had gotten a bid on the corner here, all the way to the corner there, $1,200. And I said, oh, no, that's not right. So I mentioned it to my helper, and I said, they want $1,200. So he and his buddy got together and came up with $1,200 for the entire cemetery, all the way around. So if you haven't noticed, all the way around, the fence is completely see-through. There are no briars. We took out lots of trees, and there's a big burn pile going to be burned later over here. I shredded down the mesquites and all that stuff out there to get rid of some of that. Now, okay, so we have spent $1,200. I really didn't want to do that, but it was the only way at the time to get all this cleaned up by this time. So, a new proposal they have presented to the church that is up for consideration. And we will need to vote on this yea or nay. So, this would be a contract for maintenance on the fence line all the way around the cemetery, pruning the trees, keeping everything clean, and so we can enjoy and make it look better, and keep it looking better. I would rather spend the money they're advocating once a year than to have to go back a few years from now and do this all over again. So the proposal for them is that it says here, we will keep up with the fence line by spraying, trimming the trees, keeping the vines off the fence line, and it breaks down to $83 a month.
Yes.
That's what, about $1,000 a year. Okay? Or do nothing and let it grow up all up again. And oh, by the way, the gravel is out and the concrete is out. And I got that out myself. I think it's a good deal myself, because none of us want to come out here in the heat of the summer and be spraying dry. I know.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All opposed?
Any opposed? No? No. Yes, ma'am.
Pass these out.
What?
We all probably make a decision that y'all feel you need to spend the interest money. Always leave the 100, because the EA for expenses, but the cost of you can spend the interest money on it.
Well, the interest is already going into the general account. That's already being
But
done.
that $3,000, where we just say, we keep 100 and we put that in there, if we need it, or if you need, you go get that, know that that's a cushion.
So until we get down, so we're.
We don't need it right this minute.
Right. But what you're saying is, we are allowed to spend the $3,000 without having to come back and vote on it. Okay.
Okay. Got a second on that one? Yeah. All right. Yes, sir?
I was gonna say, I'll spray the fence lines and for free. But
That's just the yard in the back?
Oh, I like that.
I mean,
I like that way better.
we're sitting here talking about how we're running out of money, don't have insurance on the building. I'd rather put that, not to take away from
guys and putting food on their table, but I'd rather put that $1,100 towards something to protect this building and me spray the fence line. So, I mean, that's,
So I'm one of the guys that did spray it, so I say it's a lot of work. So it's not, you know, if you're saying that now, why hasn't it been done? You know, over the years, because it was bad. That whole back fence line, that's a whole day's worth of work right there. This the tree, I mean, you gotta have the equipment. It costs money to run the chainsaws, the gas, and everything you're putting into that. I mean, that's fine too. I mean, no big deal about the money or nothing like that. And we could even go maybe a little cheaper on it if they still want to go with it or
well,
whatever.
y'all cleaned it already, right?
Yes,
So we're just
but
maintaining.
Yes, but if you don't maintain it every so often, them vines and all them trees, they're just gonna grow back and grow back and grow back. So the next time I come out, I'm gonna charge, 15 instead of 12, because now we're doing that same work when we told y'all before that it needed to be done every, about every 3 months it needs to be sprayed and trimmed trees and all that.
That's up to y'all.
Keep up there.
All right, everybody heard the conversation between the two gentlemen out there. What's y'all's call? We're gonna go with the
Okay, can I
Alex guy. Go ahead.
I have an opinion. I know in the past, there have been people with good intentions that have offered to do upkeep on the cemetery and then great intention, but things come up, things happen, and it overgrows, and then we have a problem. That's just, I know that's happened in the past.
Well, if people will ask, I don't know what the needs are. If you let me, I'm not trying to throw stuff out, but like this little playground set here, we donated that. If
Yes.
it needs something, I come and replace it or
Yes.
work on it.
Yes.
As long as it gets communicated to me what needs to be done, I'll help do anything that needs to be done. I got 3 boys that'll come out here and work as much as they want.
Yes, sir.
But
And I think a lot of that is, you guys have not been educated before as to what is actually going on here. A lot of people think you just show up for the meeting and all this hunky-dory. Well, there is a lot. So I agree with you totally. If we get volunteers, that's like making a donation to me. That's like making a donation to me.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to take away from anybody as far as a job, but that's what we're here for. These are our people buried in here.
Yeah.
It's up to us. So, and again, I don't think we've educated the way we needed to. And, again, I didn't know this till I started doing this. It's like, wait, Mayans aren't meeting here. Yeah, I got the money now, but I'm not gonna have the money in 2 years if we continue on.
Right. Well, and what I was gonna say too, kind of in the same ballpark, is because we don't have anything from year to year where people are kind of aware of that. And so that's what, with the sign-in sheet, we have it now with emails. And so we were talking about, doing.
Well, we as a league is gonna try to meet a little bit more often.
Right, more
talk about
often.
things.
And then send out an email, send out the minutes, and then ask for feedback too, and then volunteers. So that we have these reminders too, and that say you miss a meeting 1 year, and then like you said, you didn't know that we needed something done. And so there's more, of course, I hope y'all's email boxes aren't like mine, and you can actually find your emails, but that's, maybe we can do that, communicate with everybody better, and that there's a need for X, Y, Z, and then people.
Troy also said he'll also help spraying.
Well, what I was
Have a
trying to
team
say is,
together.
I know we're voting today, yea or nay, on whether we want to spend the money or not, but can we offer up a year? We're gonna be here next year. I doubt this is gonna turn back into what it was. So, give us a year, give us a chance to keep it up. Next year's meeting, it's looking like it's going bad again.
And then we can bring it up again.
Give us an opportunity now that we've had a meeting, we've talked about it, we know what needs to be done.
Another thing too that I see that y'all pay for is y'all's mowing. Have you seen your fence line? It needs to be weeded too. So where does that come in with volunteer? Y'all saying?
Well, they weren't doing the fence line due to the weeds, because they do weed eat around the graves and all too. I know they weren't doing the fence line due to
Right here,
weeds.
there's no weeds, this whole fence line was no weeds. It's
On
not
this side,
Yeah, and it's not like.
that's that guy's fence over there.
Inside the church. Inside the cemetery.
Oh, in the cemetery. Okay.
Inside the cemetery, all the way around that clear see where like they went, it's like, aren't they, if they're getting paid to do it, aren't they leaving? So that comes back into your volunteering again.
Right.
Y'all are saying y'all are gonna volunteer and do all this, but I would like to see that done, volunteer.
Give us
It's
a
not
year.
being done for a year.
So, to respond to Joy, I think that's reasonable to give them a year. Let's see what this looks like. Come back, like you said, next year. And if it's not, then I stand with the theory of you get what you pay for.
Right. Well, they're talking about giving them the year, or y'all doing it this year?
Give the volunteers a
The
year.
volunteers are the year.
Give the volunteers a year.
Yes. Okay. Yes, sir.
I got one more.
Yes, sir.
That's a good idea, Carla. That's what I was
I got it
thinking.
back
Yeah,
home.
work days.
I'm gonna put the grandsons on it, they gonna need help, get all them stumps out.
Yes, sir.
Good.
These stumps have tore up more shredders,
Oh, yeah.
they got to go.
I agree. Okay.
So, put that on the list to dig the stumps.
Big stumps up. Thank you. Yes, Robin?
Well, and Carla read my mind, but she suggested have work days and maybe, because like I was over there and Teddy passed away this last year, so nobody's kind of doing it. So I was just picking moss, and I know you've been working on
Yeah,
some
that's what,
stones.
I just recently
Right.
started cleaning stones
And so
personally,
it's,
and I did
you
the
know,
lighting personally. on
Maybe
my
if
dime.
we have a day where,
Thank you.
yeah, where maybe, a group of volunteers come out a couple of times a year. That's a great idea.
Yes, sir.
Can we make sure we create a spot where we can either come up here or go outside for people to be able to write their names and their phone numbers and maybe email down so
We do. We've got a
Well,
sign-in
I've
sheet.
seen that for just, but that's probably just for who's here today. I'm talking about for the volunteer. So who's wanting, who's
Oh,
wanting
sure.
to
Yeah.
volunteer. So, we'll,
Now, the only other new item we were talking about. Yes, we're doing the year trial. Yes. Year trial, all in favor? Year trial, opposed? Alright. Okay, so this front corner of the cemetery right here, every time, they have a funeral, they throw out, they bring their tent, they throw that carpet across, everybody's family members, and set tables and chairs or whatever up to do their graveside. I propose a little 20 by 20, one of little carport type of deals, right here in this front corner, inside the fence, just inside, so if you came for a graveside, you could walk right in that walk gate, it'd be right here to your right. Then they can set everything there, they can bring their chairs, the cemetery, or the funeral home, but then they're not laying across everybody out there. Because there's some out there that somebody's gonna fall, get hurt, you're gonna break something that somebody's got, some decoration that some family members left, now they've thrown that carpet over and broke it. Currently, the price that they quoted me for one of those was $2,700, $2,710.58. So it was white top. It'll have a little bit of a drop on the front. It'll be 7-foot sidewall. That's why it was 27, because I had to bring it up because their normals are like 6. So it doesn't have to be done this year. It's just something that we've been thinking about. I don't know if y'all want to go over it. If y'all want to vote on it this year or not. I know we're talking money.
Are you
So
talking,
your family will buy that, yes.
Okay.
have you already started about making it flat in the ground, or you want?
No, it'll stand.
No,
It'll
I
stand
mean
right.
on the ground part, you want concrete there with chairs, because I see some both ways.
Nah, right now I wouldn't. I'd probably do concrete or gravel later. Currently it would be anchored to the earth right there, and then
Why don't you bid it out? There might be somebody here who wants to pay for it.
Well,
She's
Gary's just said
already
they'll buy.
donating the building, so
Yep.
I might want to donate.
yeah,
this
somebody wants to
Saturday.
donate the gravel or concrete. It's 20 by 20 square. It'd be greatly appreciated.
Why don't you take care of it?
Yeah, it'll be taken care of. It'll be taken care of. Pardon?
What are you saying the concrete cost?
Right now, I'm not sure what concrete cost is right now. Concrete's pretty high. So, we can do that later. Yeah, I'll get with Carlos, one of the the biggest concrete guys in the area. And I'm on a couple projects with him.
Probably about 2,400 or more for concrete. It's about $6 a square foot.
Yeah, it's gotten up there pretty good. Okay. Well, they've talked about donating the building. I got anybody approving the building for sure? Is it agreed?
I move to
Accept the offer of Gary? Okay. And I'll get with y'all on the bid for the concrete. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say before Aunt Rhonda said that, if you had somebody donate the building, the money that was approved to buy the building, use that for the concrete.
We could, but the building wasn't approved until she said she was gonna buy it. We need to vote on that one first. Now, so we'll figure it out on that one. We'll see. And then, well, you mentioned the Venmo account. We're gonna try to do a Venmo account. We are still working on the 501c3. We may possibly, we've just touched on this. We're thinking about doing maybe one fundraiser of some sort. Sometime in the year, we don't know when. The fire station gets, 80,000 fundraisers a year. We get nothing. We get what y'all donate, what y'all give. Eventually, when we do sell all the spots, then what are we doing for money if nobody's donating? I mean, motion on that one. Anybody agree with doing a fundraiser? Yeah.
And aren't you doing a baked potato fundraiser, or is that just for
That's the church. That one's for the church. Because the church, same thing, because we got somebody that doesn't let us do fundraisers. But Soul Cafe is doing a baked potato fundraiser for the church. But as per the cemetery doesn't have anything other than what people donate or somebody buys a lot.
I think too that we need to send maybe, because we don't have perpetual care, and we were talking about that earlier, that maybe we need to send to the list that goes to the cemetery, to notify them about the homeowners, or to all the people who have someone buried here, the fact that we don't have that, and that we need to remember that, and that there is a Venmo account set up, maybe something like that to make people aware.
Because like Cindy said, the donations, it's on last year's minutes. No, well, it's on hers. It was only $850.
But I mean, if you have a lot of people who have people buried out there, I haven't ever been here.
Correct.
I can tell you that from being here every year. But I mean, so maybe if they were aware that there was an account set up, that they could. And
that's what we've got the emails now, so it'll be generated out that way.
Yeah, because think about it, guys, $50 a month will cover, well, no, $500 a month will cover the mowing for the year. If you had 10 families, only $50 a month.
Yeah.
All right. Any more business, old or new?
This is good.
Uncertain.
Did you say you needed a motion to do the fundraiser, or no?
No, we did.
Okay, I didn't get it.
We asked. Yeah.
Nobody said how to do it.
I'll say.
Yeah, we got it.
Got a second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. All right. If no other business, I'd like to adjourn this meeting and get this thing started. We'd like to thank Soul Cafe for staying with the building and keeping it going.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned. Anybody second that one?
Andrew, you made all that.
First. And Troy was kind enough to come sing with us today.
At the mention of his name, walls crumble, lives are changed. In the midst of life's temptation, he's there to see us through. This man of which I speak is here today for you and me. His name is Jesus, but you can call him as you please. They call him Emmanuel, the King of all kings. He's the Son of the Father, the Prince of Peace. They call him Hosanna, the lighthouse at sea, the Rock of Ages. He's a friend to me. Many times I've called his name, prayed for forgiveness when used in vain. Oh, but there's a peace in knowing that his forgiveness stays the same. Most famous in his story, things he spoke, the whole world still reads. His name is Jesus, but you can call him as you please. They call him Emmanuel, the King of all kings. He's the Son of the Father, the Prince of Peace. They call him Hosanna, the lighthouse at sea, the Rock of Ages, and he's a friend to me. They call him Hosanna, the lighthouse at sea, the Rock of Ages, but he's a friend to me. The Rock of Ages, but he's a friend to me.
At this time, we'd like to welcome Doug up to the stage.
I think we just have, if you have 5 minutes, I've got 5 minutes. And I'd like to use part of it on behalf of Soul Cafe to say thank you very much for letting us kind of be church here in this wonderful building. We kind of believe that the walls soak up good vibrations on Sunday, and that this is a place of nurture, care for little children especially. We think that's one of our primary responsibilities here. And it really wouldn't be possible in the way that we do it here if it weren't for your generosity in letting us meet here. And we're gonna try to help take care of this building, but sometimes I think we're wearing it out. We walk a lot on these floors, but you can't believe what happens here. Say on Wednesday night with all of the kids that come, and it is really a fun place to be. Thank you very much. Second thing I'd like to use my 5 minutes for is to say it's great to be in a community that cares so much about this place, and the grounds, the cemetery. I had a little farm one time right off of I-45 in Buffalo, Texas, and on the back of that, about 100 acres there, in the back, in the woods, one day I was walking through, and I came on a broken down fence and a lot of little headstones. It was a cemetery. Maybe just a family cemetery, but unrecognizable as a place except for this. And this place is taken care of because you care about it. That's a wonderful history. And people have such great memories about here. We have pictures right here. These pictures were taken about 64 years ago. And they're pictures of the inside of this building. And people can go through and say, oh, I know who that is. And it's really wonderful. And so I would encourage us, those of us, I mean, I have a place out here, by the way, myself. I would encourage us to take care of our history, take care of our caring, because it's a great gift to us, isn't it, that we have this kind of place to be. I can say what I really wanted to say very, very shortly, and it's this, that we don't live in a universe that is solely and limited to the physicality that we all know. We live in a spiritual universe created by consciousness and spirit that is relational and caring and loving. I don't have to do anything except for those of you of faith to reference the creation itself and the God who came on those days and made plants and trees that bore fruit, and then he comes around and he says to the people that he created in his own image, he said, listen, I've created everything you're going to need to know for life, and I just want to give it to you. And that's the nature of the consciousness that embraces all of the physicality that we know in this flesh and blood life. There are so many people, if you ever get a chance to just read a little bit in quantum physics, all of a sudden you'll realize this swift current that is moving people to say, you know what? We're not just physical people. We are people of soul and spirit. And it is that spirit that brought all things into being. And that spirit is so loving and caring and provisional, providing exactly what we need. There's a Bible verse that I'm going to reference in the book of Jeremiah. It's out about the 29th chapter. And here's the setting. Nebuchadnezzar, one of those biblical names. It's not very popular for our kids. I mean, nobody ever said, oh look, that's little Nebuchadnezzar out there. Nobody ever says that. We don't use that name very much. But this king of Babylon took captive the children of Israel. They really had kind of forgotten their allegiance and their faith in God. Their culture had somewhat flattened and eroded, and they were easy picking for Nebuchadnezzar. And he came and took the king, he took the queen mother, he took all of the people that were in government, and he even took most of the people back to Babylon to work as slaves. It was predicted that they'd be there for at least 70 years. And a person back in Israel, Jeremiah by name, wrote a letter to the people that had been taken captive. It's not what you'd expect at all. He writes a letter and he says, by the way, I know these are hard times, but they are going to come to an end, but probably not a day earlier than I've said. But they're going to come to an end. And in the meantime, while you're still there, here's what I want you to do. This will surprise you. He said, number one, I want you to build some houses and plant a garden and eat the food that comes out of those gardens and have some children. And encourage your children to have children so that you'll thrive in that land. Here's what I want you to do. He said, I want you to pray for Babylon. I never thought I'd read that in the Bible. I want you to pray for Babylon. Because if it goes well for Babylon, it goes well for you. Because someday, God is going to see the end of this, and He's going to come and take you home. That was the wonderful promise. And He said, when you get home, guess what? When you pray, I'm going to hear you. And when you look for me, you're going to find me. Because I'm always on duty. And I'm ready to work in your lives. And I have plans for you. I have an idea of what I want for you. And it's good. And I'm going to come and I'm going to take care of you. And I'm going to give you a hope. And I'm going to give you a future. I don't know whether that can provide a metaphor for us today. But I want to tell you, when we take our loved ones, and I have a sister that's buried here. She lived in Tennessee, but she had visited here so often, here in Ledbetter, that when she passed away, her husband said, I think she'd like to be buried in Ledbetter. And so she has a grave. I took some flowers out there today. When your loved ones are buried, and the physical life that we have is over, there is a new home. There is a new place that God has prepared for us. And it is not over. And to tend to the internal, to tend to our own spirit in the face of difficult times, when things don't go well. Remember that there is a God who embraces a universe, a galaxy that is so immense that we can't even begin to understand it, but He embraces it in love and care. Here's what the Bible says, that God is at work even in the bad times to bring about something good for you. God can take the broken pieces that now lay on the ground. It looks like they're working. God comes to pick them up, to put them back together, to rebuild. That's why this place can be so important to us. Because there is a God who also cares about what goes on here. Does that sound okay? Let's thank God for His presence. God, thank you so very much that you care enough for us to give us a future filled with care and presence and love and provision for everything that we need. We are glad that you have given us a place here in Ledbetter, Giddings, in this wonderful, rich, rural culture thank you for this place. But thank you also that you have gone to prepare a place.
I don't know when I'm fast enough to get you.
And we thank you in Jesus' name.
Please join us. God be with you. And then y'all. Bingo. Till we meet again. Wise counsels guide and hold you. With the sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again. Leave this wing securely hide you. Take Master provide you. God be with you till we meet again. Till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet. God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again. When my terrors they confound you, put His arms unfailing round you. God be with you till we meet again. Please stand if you can. Till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet. God be with you. God be with you. Oh, God be with you till we meet again.
Till we meet again.
Thank you. God bless. Happy bingoing.